Hello friends, India has witnessed remarkable and unprecedented changes ever since the collaboration between Narasimha Rao and Manmohan Singh to liberalize the economy in the 1990s. The future is now filled with soaring hopes and speculations. Multiple factors such as demographics, economics, technology, and global geopolitics need to be considered to foresee India's political future, or for that matter, economic future. The future development of the largest democracy in the world will have a profound influence on global politics and its own destiny. It is predicted that India will experience significant demographic changes and reach a stabilized population of around 1.6 billion by 2050. The population is expected to age significantly, with a notable increase in the proportion of elderly citizens, that is, people over 60 years of age. According to the United Nations, the percentage of Indians aged 60 and above is projected to double from 10.1% in 2021 to 19.7% by 2050, as stated in the World Population Prospects 2022. The working age population, that is those between 15 and 59, will decline, creating difficulties for economic productivity and social welfare systems. Political attention will be redirected to healthcare infrastructure, pension reforms, and elderly care policies because of demographic changes. Political parties must find a balance between policies for the aging population and the younger generation. As the demand for the care for the elderly and health services increases, expanding healthcare infrastructure, currently at 1.28% of GDP, will be given more priority, or will have to be given more priority. To ensure social security for the aging population, significant reforms are needed for pension systems that currently cover only about 12% of the working population. India's political landscape will also be shaped by urbanization. The urban population of Indians is projected to rise from 35% in 2021 to almost 50% by 2050. Traditional caste-based politics in urban areas will be diluted by this shift, leading to the emergence of identity politics focused on occupation, economic class, and regional or cultural identities. Nevertheless, caste-based politics will persist in rural areas, although it will evolve to align with new social and political realities. The World in 2050, a report by the PricewaterhouseCoopers or PwC, predicts that India's economy will continue to grow and become the third largest in the world by 2050. The Make in India initiative will be the driving force behind the growth, with contributions from the manufacturing, services, and digital economy sectors. By 2025, digital contributors to India's GDP are projected to rise to 25%. This will become possible because of AI, biotechnology, and clean energy technologies. India's economic growth looks promising, but income inequality will remain a significant problem. In India, the top 10% of the population holds 57% of the total national income, as stated in the World Inequality Report of 2022. If this inequality is not tackled, especially in rural areas, it could lead to social unrest and political volatility. Inclusive growth must be the focus of economic policies to address the gap between the wealthy elite and the marginalized communities. The growing middle class in India will have a major influence on politics. Economic growth and urbanization are expected to drive 80% of Indian households into the middle class by 2050. This group of people will insist on improved governance, better infrastructure, educational changes, and decreased corruption. To win elections, political parties must address the needs of this demographic by emphasizing digital governance, transparency, and global market access. Automation and AI driven job losses will pose challenges for India. The nation will engage in political debates centered on universal basic income or UBI or similar welfare measures as employment crises loom. The governance systems of India will experience a revolution by 2050 because of AI, blockchain, and quantum computing. Digitization will lead to increased transparency and efficiency in government services and electoral processes. The political system will become more accountable as automation in governance reduces the chances of corruption. Nonetheless, the digital divide in India will continue. Access to digital services can be challenging for rural and economically disadvantaged citizens, leading to debates about inclusivity in India's digital democracy. Ensuring equal access to technology is crucial for bridging the digital divide. Privacy and surveillance concerns will be heightened by the rise of AI and digital technology. Civil liberty advocates are advocating for stronger privacy protections as India is projected to become one of the largest collectors of data by 2050. Expect the government surveillance debate to heat up as political movements push for data protection laws and democratic freedoms in response to the rise of sophisticated surveillance technologies. Social media's influence on Indian politics will remain strong. It is estimated that India's social media user base will reach 1.5 billion by 2040. AI and data analytics will play a crucial role in making political campaigning more data driven and precise in targeting voters. Although it may increase political participation, there are concerns about misinformation and public opinion manipulation on digital platforms. By 2050, caste based politics will experience a significant change. Caste identities will weaken in cities because of urbanization, but will remain influential in rural areas during elections or even otherwise in the social interaction part also. Intercaste marriages will continue to rise. They will reach about 10% by 2050 from 5.8% in 2011. This will diminish the influence of caste on social and political dynamics, although it will remain significant. Indian politics will continue to be strongly influenced by religion. By 2050, the Muslim population is estimated to rise from 14.2% in 2011 to 18.4%. This will result in increased demands for representation and rights. Balancing religious nationalism and secularism will be crucial for political parties as they face resistance from inclusive and secular liberal movements. By 2050, there is a projected significant rise in women's political participation. The Lok Sabha currently has a representation of women at 14%, a significant increase from 5% in the 1950s. If this trend continues, this figure may reach 30 to 35% by 2050. Female representation in political institutions would be strengthened by the passage of the Women's Reservation Bill. This bill is pending for quite a while now. The fight for gender equality will persist as movements strive for increased representation and rights. Of course, patriarchal beliefs in specific regions may create obstacles. India's rise in military and economic strength will establish it as a dominant force in South Asia and the Indian Ocean region, or IOR, by 2050. By 2030, its defense budget is expected to hit $215 billion, making it one of the top three defense spenders globally. What will happen by 2050 is only for speculation purposes. India's security posture in relation to China will strengthen through an evolved Quad alliance along with its strategic partnerships with the United States, Japan, and Australia. Although the BRICS, India's role in the BRICS will also play a part. The complexity of India China relations will persist. Border disputes and competition for influence in Asia and Africa will continue, but bilateral trade, which hit $135.98 billion in 2022, will continue to expand. Border infrastructure will be a joint investment for both nations as their rivalry extends to technology, trade, and global geopolitics. The relationship between India and Pakistan will continue to be unpredictable. It will swing between periods of tension and occasional moments of reconciliation. The presence of nuclear deterrence will discourage significant military conflicts in the region, but domestic pressures will shape political engagement in both these countries, in India and Pakistan. Despite political tensions, collaboration can still occur in the areas of water sharing agreements and counter-terrorism cooperation. Global governance institutions will see India taking on a more prominent role by 2050. Its growing economic and political influence is likely to result in a successful bid for a permanent membership in the UN Security Council. India will champion the cause of global governance reforms to ensure fair representation for the global south. It will keep focusing on climate change, trade, and technology transfer. India will take the lead in establishing a multipolar world order through forums like the G20 and BRICS. This will arguably ensure a balance between Western democracies and emerging powers. Most of these emerging powers are from the former Third World. By 2050, climate change will be one of India's biggest challenges. India's economy and society will be seriously threatened by rising sea levels, extreme weather events, and water shortages. According to the World Bank, 40% of Indians will experience water scarcity by 2050, and coastal areas could see up to 36 million people displaced because of rising sea levels. Failing to effectively manage these environmental crises could trigger extensive political unrest, especially among rural communities that experience the greatest impact of environmental degradation. To avoid catastrophe, the Indian government must adopt strong climate adaptation and mitigation strategies. The central aspect of India's political agenda will be its move towards a green economy. With investments in solar, wind, and nuclear power, India aims to reach a renewable energy capacity of 500 gigawatts by 2030. The renewable energy sector will see a surge in job creation. Environmental conservation and sustainable development will be increasingly popular among urban youth and the middle class. The future of India's politics, economy, and society will be influenced by a combination of demographics, technology, and geopolitics. Even though challenges such as inequality, environmental degradation, and religious tensions will remain, India's democratic institutions and economic growth give cause for optimism. By 2050, India will transform into a highly urbanized middle class nation with global influence, yet its success hinges on effectively managing the challenges of a swiftly evolving world.